Hey Binders, before we get started with today's episode, I wanted to let you know about my new Oracle deck called the Magic Morsels Oracle deck. It is an exploration of the things we crave, and yes, by that I mean food. Let's pull a card for today, shall we? The chicken nuggies. This card is representative of our subconscious. And I know what some of you might be thinking, Laura, I'm vegan. I don't need chicken nuggies. Well, guess what? I have a vegan edition of this same deck for your Oracle pleasure. You can find our new Magic Morsels Oracle decks over at ladymoon.co or on our Etsy, etsy.com/ladymooncompany. And if you'd like a discount, because I would, you can get 20% off with the code MORSELS. Use that at checkout, and bon appetit.
Hermes, draw near, and to my prayer incline, in arts gymnastic and in fraud divine.
Dire weapon of the tongue which men revere, be present, Hermes, in thy suppliant here. Welcome to Third Eye Bind, episode 32, Crystals. Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Kaitlyn.
And welcome to Third Eye Bind.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for tuning into season 4, episode
2. Today we'll be talking about
Crystals. But before we get started, if you like the show, please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Share it with your friends. Tell your mom. And if you love us, which I hope you do, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Hold on.
That was the cutest sneeze of all time.
Excuse me. Patreon.com/thirdEyeBind. Any contribution helps this indie podcast keep the literal lights on. But if you consider contributing to the $5 or above tiers, you have access to all of our amazing content, extended episodes, behind the scenes, deck reviews, TV show reviews, all that fun stuff.
Nail
photos. Which we got to take one today.
I want to look at yours.
So
cute.
Okay,
today we're talking about fucking crystals, okay?
We've been wanting to do this since season 1, and it keeps getting like bumped.
Pushed aside.
But I'm really excited that we've decided to finally do this.
Finally do it. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
We did our best to dress like crystals.
Yes.
We are the crystal gems.
What crystal are you, Kaitlyn?
I feel like I'm an emerald.
Oh. It's Taurus season, baby. And I am an amethyst.
Yes. Here we are.
It's my favorite. Okay.
What crystal are you?
What crystal are you? Think about it.
Let's see what the cards have to say today. One more time. The Three of Cups.
Oh.
I actually love this.
Okay.
I feel like I say that every time. I actually love this.
It actually makes a lot of sense.
I love this because the Three of Cups is all about communing.
Right.
And community. And I think that's really cute because crystals, people who love crystals, we really are our own little community.
Yes.
It's something that folks can really easily bond over. As a person who struggles with connecting with strangers IRL, when somebody mentions crystals, I'm like, okay, we can...
You're my people,
we
maybe.
can speak the same language, perhaps.
Perhaps,
yes. We have some stuff that we can relate about.
Perhaps we can.
Yes. And I also feel like there's something
Okay.
really fun and playful about engaging with crystals, and that relates back to the Three of Cups energy as well. I also think that's cute. If you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends, Spice Girls.
Okay, and the fact that the Spice Girls are different flavors and there are so many different varieties of crystals actually makes a lot of sense.
That's totally cute, yes. And each one possesses its own energy and helps us to embody that energy when we are engaging with it.
Yes.
I think that's really cool.
Okay, so I guess we should just start out with asking like each other, like, what do you use crystals? Do you like crystals? What's your current relationship with crystals?
My current relationship with crystals. So I don't buy new crystals at this point because there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the ethical sourcing of crystals.
Absolutely.
Crystal mining has become something that is quite lucrative, and
Yeah, just a little bit.
in a capitalist society, that leads to the exploitation of a resource. And there's a lot of devastating stuff happening in crystal mines. There's a lot of child labor. There's a lot of dangerous labor. And so it's hard for me to want to buy new ones. With that said, I'm not going to throw away the ones that I have. And I love the ones that I have. I think this crystal that I commune with most frequently is my selenite wand. I fucking love selenite. Even if you do get an ethically sourced piece of selenite, it's probably one of the most affordable crystals on the market. And it is just such an incredible tool for cleansing spiritually, yes. But in deepening my relationship with my selenite wand, I have found that it is also extremely helpful at releasing physical pain from my body. I like to use it before bed, and I have like chronic pain in my lower hip, which an acupuncturist named Portia, Deeper Genius Acupuncture, if you're in Los Angeles, please book with her. She's a magician. But in those in-between times when I'm struggling with pain or it's flaring up again, using the selenite wand on my lower back helps release the pain. And I can't explain it. It helps with my headaches.
That's great.
It's amazing. I'm also really into aventurine, like green aventurine and green fluorite right now. Like the green crystals are really doing it for me. Emerald is really doing it for me.
Yeah.
And then as a psychic, of course, I love black tourmaline because it is such a deeply protective stone. It really absorbs any unpleasant, unsavory energies so that they don't latch onto me. I keep black tourmaline in my windows. I keep one on my working altar. And that's usually one that, like, when I was still buying crystals, like I would gift a selenite and a black tourmaline to my clients. And I love it. I love, of course, amethyst.
Amethyst.
How can we not love amethyst? Our
We
psychic
love amethyst.
stone.
Our third eye.
Our third eye stone. I love blue celestite for opening up our psychic eye as well. And what's my other fave? I think those are all like my big...
Your big ones.
And rose quartz.
Rose quartz.
Duh. I know we all love rose quartz. But how can you not love rose quartz?
It's pink.
It's pink. It's beautiful. And it helps you connect with that like beauty that's in yourself. Very like, we were just talking about how it's Taurus season. It's very like Empress energy. It's very Venusian. It's juicy.
It's juicy.
I love it. What about you?
Me. I also do not currently buy new crystals.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I bought one this year, but like that's it.
Yeah.
Because it's me with when things get popular and trendy, I just like can't, sometimes I disconnect with them, even if they are tools that I like and have used for years and years, like crystals since I was like a kid. Sometimes it feels icky because I think the commodification of a tool or a source for me just gets really touched. Like I've used this imagery before, but like in a museum when people have just touched everything, and it's just, for me, like I get kind of, I don't know, I'm just like, well, maybe I don't need to be a part of that because so many people are a part of that right now. Like, let me reevaluate like my relationship with this and why. So I actually haven't really, I have the ones I have.
Yeah.
I was very into like, not collecting, but just having them. Like I have an amethyst I've had since I was a child. So amethyst has always been the stone that like called to me, or that I thought was beautiful. Like rocks and stones. So I'm a very earthy person. Like the rocks and stones that they used to sell in Yosemite, of all places, like the little glass, like plastic like boxes, and it was mineral too. It wasn't just like crystals, but I was so drawn to them. Like when I was a kid, and it was one of the first things that kind of pulled me to understand, like I felt them in a different way, or I felt like the energy of the earth in a heightened way or a different way than other people. Hence, I'm a witch, but like, like that was something I was really drawn to. Amethyst, I love tiger's eye.
Yeah.
My mom is a tiger's eye. Like that's my mom's stone. So I feel really comfy with tiger's eye. My tiger's eye.
My tiger's eye. Blood on the moon.
Where's my tiger's eye? Oh, don't get in the car. He's in the backseat. But yeah, tiger's eye, amethyst. I love quartz.
Yeah.
I love a clear quartz. A lot of the times I can't choose what color is my favorite, but it's always lavender. But sometimes I like a clear, it's like nails almost. Like I like a clear, sparkly nail.
Me too.
Somehow nails and crystals are related. So color.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, right? How does that make sense? We'll figure it out. But it's I wanted to see what I was actually really surprised at the cards. This is an example where I thought the cards were going to say something else and they didn't. So now I'm trying to let that inform this conversation from my end, because I was like, I've just been so disillusioned with crystals in the past few years, because it's a very like adopted like love and light symbol.
Yes. Well, and when you think about, like, we live in LA, where there are many crystal shops, and all of the crystal shops are owned by white people. Yeah. And I mean, like, okay, even recently I was at a party and I met someone who owned a store. Metaphysical, specifically like a crystal shop in LA. And I was excited to meet this person because I had heard of their shop, but I hadn't been in. And the more I started talking about it, talking to them about things beyond crystals, I was like, oh, you're problematic.
Yeah.
You're deeply, deeply problematic. And so I can see why, like, It's almost gatekeepy, but okay, here's the thing.
No, it's not. It's not gatekeepy.
Crystal, ahead. Like anybody can have it, but like the people who run the shops, who like control our access to them.
It's the same thing with witchcraft.
Yeah.
When I was actually like researching this a little bit, I kept thinking to myself, oh, the commodification of crystals. Like, yes, everyone can be into it, but do you really have a deep respect for it, or are you just like the aesthetic? And I was like, that's like witchcraft nowadays, and the kind of issues I have with that. And that also is kind of gatekeepy, but
well, and also like, do you need to have them all? They're not Pokemon. And we like watched.
But a rose quartz would be Jigglypuff.
It would.
Okay, see how it sucks you in, because crystals are beautiful.
Yes, they're so pretty.
They are glamoury.
And
they draw you in. But the thing about crystals is we're not actually like meant to find them really they don't show themselves to us willingly. They're in the earth.
Right.
They don't grow on trees.
Right. They're not like ripe for the taking, just hanging out on a vine.
Hidden beneath mud and dirt. And like a lot of the times, like the pretty parts are the insides of it. And it just looks like
a rock.
A rock.
Yeah. Something I learned from Erika Buenaflor is that like early Mesoamericans would find jade because jade remains cool. And so when it was really hot outside, you could see like the coolness. Like if it rained, you could see the like steam coming up from the ground. And that's how you would find the jade. That's how it would like reveal itself to you. Very interesting. And how you would find it. And there's actually a really beautiful, I like had a moment there. I went on a field trip with my kiddo to the Natural History Museum.
Oh, nice.
An exposition park. And they have a whole exhibit on like Mesoamerican iconography and statues and pottery and stuff. And it's like a mix of like, oh, am I going to cry?
Probably.
It's a mix of like feeling so lucky to get to see, I kept telling Hunter, like these like belong to your ancestors. These things belong to your ancestors. Like, and I felt so lucky to get to see them, but I also felt so deeply uncomfortable with them being like suffocating behind glass.
Yeah.
Like the spirits of all of these stones and the energy that humans put into them when they carved them, like it was weird. It was a weird, beautiful and sad moment.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. The crystals and the interest in them are nothing new.
No.
They are very much a multi-billion-dollar industry currently.
Yeah.
And since the spiritual boom of the 80s,
Yeah.
the 90s, and today, like
And today.
it's just growing and growing and growing. And that's great. But it's nothing new. Like the Greeks,
Yes.
everybody, Chinese,
Well, I
jade,
feel like that
like
relates back to that Three of Cups energy
Yeah.
of like different people from different
coming
places
together,
coming together over something
and appreciating
common.
it because it's beautiful and of course we want to, as humans, like we like sparkly, pretty things. Like of course we want to, but I do think there is something about taking them from the earth in such large quantities
Yeah.
and sort of just collecting them like they're pennies or whatever,
Yeah.
like
Like they're not unicorn statues. Like you
like they're not
there's-
marble statues. Like the crystals form over a fucking long time
Yeah.
and they're not growing every day. Like what we
No.
have is what we have for this lifetime.
Yes.
Do you know what I
It's
mean?
like fossil fuel.
Yeah, so there's that, and then there's also like, I don't have the answer to this, but I wonder like how does it affect the earth that we take it out of it, and why is it in there
And
to
so
begin
much.
with?
Like how does it affect the earth that we take so
Much because
in such a short amount of time?
we're not respecting that.
Yeah. The like overconsumption really, it freaks me out a little bit.
It's a lot.
Because I just, you go on YouTube or TikTok and you see these like modern day mystics and spiritual practitioners, and they have these like altars just like full
Crystal
all these
grids
crystals.
all over a whole room.
Yeah, and like it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
But I also wonder, like, do we need to have it all? Do we really need to have all of it?
And why do you have that many? Is it to show?
Yeah.
Is
Can
it
you really
aesthetic
be-
only, or is it some tools that you actually
Yeah.
use? And like, I don't think anybody needs that many.
Well, something I learned from one of my favorite witches, Marie Kondo,
Yes.
is that when you have too much stuff, you can't possibly be in relationship to all of it.
No.
And I think that's something to consider with all of our spiritual tools.
Yes.
Whether they're handcrafted or mined. But when it comes to things that are mined from the earth, you have to remember that like there are real humans who suffer.
Yeah. In the
It's not that different
That-
from like
yeah.
blood diamonds.
That's what.
Or
yeah.
Elon Musk's family's emerald mines in South Africa.
Yeah, like there's things that are going on that aren't being talked about that I am not even sure of.
Okay,
Do you know what I mean?
So in 2014, the New York Times found that Myanmar's jade industry, then spurred by demand in like not just China but all over the world, helped finance a bloody ethnic conflict and unleashed an epidemic of heroin use and consequently HIV infection because of the needles among Kachin minority who work the mines. So who suffers? The ethnic minorities,
Yeah.
the economic minorities.
that are doing this. This.
A 2016 Global Witness report found that Afghanistan's lapis lazuli mines provide the Taliban up to $20 million per year.
There you go.
And I do want to note that like the Taliban only exists because of US imperialism.
Yeah.
And that's like the source of all over extortion of resources, extraction of resources in the world. In 2018, the New Republic attempted to track down the sources of crystals and found that many came from the Democratic Republic of Congo, where children as young as 7 work in industrial mines. In 2019, Los Angeles Magazine reported that some crystals in Los Angeles stores were sourced from Brazil, where there's an epidemic of illegal and destructive mining. The Guardian published an investigation into the crystal industry in Madagascar, where 85,000 children work in mines. And I think this is just something to consider. It's also not that different from like fast fashion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like with fast fashion, okay, it's a little different because we have to be clothed in this version of the world.
Right.
And not all of us can afford slow fashion because it's more expensive.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks who can only afford fast fashion like take care of their stuff. Like I have stuff from Target from like a decade ago that I still wear. But it's like those people who post like Shein hauls.
And can I just go on a tangent about how fucking expensive vintage clothing is?
Vintage is
It's
so
not
expensive
accessible.
now.
Please stop selling something like this for like $200.
Yes,
That's
it's
fucking
ridiculous
ridiculous. When you
because-
got it from like Kansas for like 50 cents.
And thrift stores
Stop it.
are supposed to be for people who don't have money. And now folks can't go to thrift stores and buy things, so they have to buy fast fashion because vintage
is
is
become
unaccessible now. Inaccessible
again a
now.
commodity and a lucrative business.
Yes.
Like, but you don't need to mark your shit up that much.
You don't.
You do not need to do that.
No.
Stop it.
Stop. It's annoying.
It's annoying.
Not everybody
Everyone-
is the... I remember you used to be
Everyone
able to use the
deserves a
Rose Bowl.
beautiful 1930s dress.
Yes.
Okay. I don't care if it's silk, organza, whatever the fuck. Like, be fair with your pricing with that shit. Because there's not a... We want to encourage people, but I know. I'm all talking to myself. I'm like, I know. I'm a business woman.
Yeah.
I understand. But chill out.
Chill out.
That's intense.
But I do think it
I am
does. It relates back to like
But
conscious consumption. What do you actually need?
what do I actually need right now is not crystals.
What
you
do
know?
you actually need? And if you do need a crystal, can you take the time to find out where your crystals come from?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of websites online that like claim to be ethically sourced.
Like Arkansas. Mine, or
I've heard that like if you get them from the US, it's better. I don't know how much. And because it's just
but those are the expensive ones.
Yeah.
Or there's some places you can go and pay like $15 and you can go
mine it
find your
yourself.
own, which is pretty cool.
I think that's really neat.
I would probably do that.
I would do that.
Given you can zip line over a thing.
Yes.
There's this Arkansas.
I want to do that. Do you remember at Knott's Berry Farm when you used to get to pan for gold?
Yes. I do.
I wish they still had that.
Gold flakes. I used to do that just in the
So
rivers
fun.
and shit.
Yeah.
So
there's so much pyrite here.
Pyrite. I
There's
actually
so
love
much pyrite
fool's
here.
gold.
I love pyrite.
I've had this piece for a long time. Would you like to hold it?
I would.
Here you go. Isn't it pretty?
My whole head like lit up when I touched it. Yeah.
Yes, and I love what you said about can you like if you get a crystal, like are you just gonna like throw it?
Yeah.
Didn't mean it. But like
We didn't mean
you know, are you just gonna throw it in your closet? Is it gonna collect dust? Like when that started happening to me, 'cause I'm not perfect. That's when I was like, no more.
Yeah.
Same thing with plants.
Yeah.
I have like 50 plants in my house.
It's
I
really
can take
pretty.
care of all of them.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting any more unless I propagate because I can regulate the propagation.
Yeah.
But I don't buy them anymore because I know that one of them is going to get ignored.
Yeah.
It's like having like kids, like
truly,
you know, like
yeah.
one of them, if you don't have enough attention to give, one of them is going to get ignored and like die.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
like I don't, you know, so I regulate that, but the crystal thing is just,
it's kind of out of control.
but it's for everyone in the way that it's such a, like, it could just collect them. You could just like them. You don't have to be a witch. You don't have to be a magical person. You know, science uses them too. Like, and you know, they have fucking power. Like they power watches, radios. And the reason why they use them is because they emit like a very precise frequency, like quartz.
Yeah.
I know that for sure. And I'm like, okay, well, it does that, but you don't think that there's some kind of power from something?
Some sort of metaphysical
that
power?
looks like this that comes from nature? I'm not claiming to understand it fully and to know exactly.
But I know it's real.
But I, you know, but I know that there's something to that, okay? So they have like resonative properties, and I think everyone has a different relationship with different crystals too, because it's subjective. It's a tool, right? And for some people, like my head didn't buzz when I picked this up. You know what I mean? And yours did. Like it's just, we have different like varying degrees of sense and relationship, and I get like that with everything. I'm very like, well, what about it? So like, you know, if someone's like, I'm a Reiki healer and this will do this and this will do this for you and this will do this for you, for everybody.
Yeah.
With the chakras and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if I believe you. I have a healthy skepticism when it comes to like people that like work with crystals for some reason. I just don't, because it's such a broad like thing.
Well, and I think because it's
know what
very
I mean?
broad. There's
like,
no
what are your
like
what's your background?
Especially right now.
Yeah.
You know,
right now.
like you don't have to have any rooting in any sort of discipline or ancestral practice to have access to crystals, which is part of the reason why it's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's also part of the reason why I'm very skeptical of New Age practitioners who
New Age, there's the term I was looking
engage with crystals or who like promote their crystal healing services. I'm like, but where did you learn this
Where
from?
did you just Google what a rose quartz was and you call it it's for your self-love or whatever?
Where did you learn this from? What system are you operating from? What are your foundations? Like where is the emperor and the hierophant in this practice that like roots it back to the earth? And
yeah, it's stuff like that people don't often ask questions. Like you talk about, especially with like being weary of certain spiritual practitioners because they're not rooted. Yeah. That for me is such a red. Honestly, it sucks because crystals are cool. But like when I see someone like crystal healing, I'm like, I automatically think you're full of shit. I do. And I'm not saying that's right. Yeah. But that's me being honest. Like, I'm like, I think you're full of shit.
Suspicious.
I'm sus. Yeah. Because then I'm like, all right, I want to learn more. Like, okay, and then if I, and then I'm like, all right, I'm being judgmental.
But if you can tell me like why and how and like what the root of that system is,
it's
like
just so mixed up.
I'm down with that.
In like,
but when there's like a
lot of Eastern appropriative,
a lot of Eastern appropriative stuff, and like going back to the Three of Cups.
Yeah, let's go back to
and
the Three of
how
Cups.
Many different people can access and celebrate this thing. Like, historically, like you can find people communing with crystals as sources of power and healing all over the world. And I think that's really cool. Like likely the earliest folks to use crystals for healing were Africans. It's not documented. The first documented crystals for healing and magic were the Sumerians. But in Africa, it's more like an oral tradition situation, right? Yeah. Ancient Egyptians. So Sumerians use crystals in their magic formulas, so like alchemy. Ancient Egyptians mined for crystals and used them to make jewelry.
And makeup.
Makeup. They were used for their metaphysical properties.
I actually saw someone do that on TikTok. Somebody crushed up a lapis and used it as eyeshadow. What? And I was like, I forgot the account. She gets like vintage makeup and will actually like use it and stuff. It's actually kind of cool.
Oh yeah, I've seen her. And people are like, there's lead in that. And she's like, whatever.
I got 1 million followers. 1 million. That's actually not a lot. I'm going to shut up now. I have 2 billion followers.
100 billion followers.
100 bajillion followers. I don't give a fuck if I get lead poisoning. I wouldn't either, to be honest with you. I'd put that shit in my
I mean, most millennials have a little bit of lead poisoning from the paint that used to be in.
We had to sign a lead thing, and my shit's got lead. My house was built in 1954.
Yeah.
Get the lead out. You gotta get the lead out.
Are you even in your 30s if you haven't been exposed to lead and asbestos?
Yeah, asbestos. If you have mesothelioma, please go.
Remember?
If you or anyone you suffer from.
At like 2 a.m. in between music videos on MTV, the mesothelioma class action lawsuit.
I knew someone that died from that.
Oh, fuck.
My teacher's like sibling in high school like died from it. And he talked about it a lot. So I feel very close to it. It's fucked up.
It's fucked up.
He was a good, hardworking dude.
Aww.
But going back to unsafe working conditions, mining is not a great safe job to have historically, whether you're mining for coal,
No.
fossils, or crystals.
It's not.
So I'm wondering, like, yes, it's not good for the people that work to get but what does it do to the earth? Like, what elementals are involved with like the guarding of are there, you know what I mean? Like, what is that? Because I feel like there's
Which spirits are we pissing off?
which spirits are we pissing off by doing this?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
The Fae.
Little gnome nummies, like what? They're wearing crystal
the Fae.
hats. Like,
The good
I
folk.
mean, I don't think what I'm getting a sense of is that it's very over harvested. And it's pissing off the Fae.
Yeah.
And there's something about whatever my guides are telling me and my instincts or my discernment is telling me to not fucking buy anymore and not to add to that because I don't need any more crystals and I honestly don't want any more.
Yeah.
And, you know, not to toot my own witch horn, but, you know, I have a very grounded, personal, like non-aesthetic, like deep appreciation for magic and that comes from like a really long time of practicing.
Yeah.
But I think some people when they're searching for themselves spiritually think that this is going to solve all their problems.
Yeah.
And having more of it will
Fix
just
me better.
help. And I
Yeah.
I get that because it's God, you know, if I thought something would just, you know, you're experimenting and you're like figuring it out, but I think people might get a little out of control with it.
Well, and I think that's part of like the culture that we live in. Like capitalism wants us to overconsume. They want us to keep buying. It's the reason why products continue to get shittier and shittier. You know, like in the old days, you could buy a fucking Honda and it would last for multiple children, like
We had a
multiple
Honda.
generations.
It was good.
You could have your great grandma's Honda.
Remember my Honda I had, babe? That was a salvaged car.
Like old
It was
Volvos
so good.
used to get passed down from generation to generation. Washing machines, like all this shit used to be made. Jewelry, even costume jewelry. Everything
Even the ones I
used
wore
to be made to
in
last.
episode 1 was fucking costume jewelry, and it's like it still looked cute.
Everything used to be made to last, but capitalism cannot sustain on goods that are quality made. Because then we stop buying more. And we are trained in the Western world to overconsume.
Yeah.
And it's really hard not to.
It is.
And it's hard to divorce ourselves from that idea, even when we're engaging with spiritual tools.
Yeah.
And spiritual practice and like precious items. Like stuff that comes from the earth is precious.
Yeah.
It might not be in the De Beers mine, but even that's fucked up in its own way.
What energy do those things carry?
Right. And I think it's really interesting that like, I think like lab grown diamonds and semi-precious gemstones are really cool. I think that's a great idea.
Those are cool. Those diamonds, I forgot what they're called. They're really popular
I
right
love
now.
sparkly shit.
Yeah.
I love diamonds.
Yeah.
I do. I'm not going to fucking lie to you.
No, I do too.
I love diamonds.
Yes.
All of mine are antique, so they were already in circulation.
I'm wearing some diamonds.
Yeah. I love diamonds. I love emeralds. I love that shit. And I
Yeah,
love that
me
you can
too.
get it made in a lab so that it doesn't have to be harvested by a fucking 5-year-old who's making pennies and who's like purposely being exploited so that like this De Beers family can continue on their fucking colonial legacy, right?
Yeah.
But now there's this new ad campaign going around.
Oh, do tell.
It's called Only Natural Diamonds. And it's this like super fabouche like femme who's like wearing natural diamonds and she like goes to her photo shoot, goes to
way.
lunch,
Only
flirts with the
natural
guy. And they're
diamonds?
talking about how like only natural diamonds have that energy. And it's making it very like exclusive again. And I think that they're like trying to recoup some of the business they're losing to lab-grown diamonds.
They're losing a lot.
Yeah, as they fucking should.
Or like alternative stones. Like I have a morganite stone in my, and it's
Cute.
still a gemstone, but it's not a giant diamond.
Yeah.
Is awful. I don't know. But yeah, that's crazy.
I know.
Only natural
a little
diamonds.
Tangent, but yeah, they're like trying to
trying to make that exclusive and
make you want it. Like,
But do you really want the energy of something that's been, picked by
like literal
a
blood
child?
diamonds?
Yeah.
Like
no,
literal blood diamonds. I don't think so. I don't.
I don't.
And
yeah.
I just think that with crystals, like with all things at this point in the space-time continuum, we have to consider, like, what do I actually need?
Yeah.
What do I actually need? And if you need, like, a little treat, like, get Starbucks. Like, get... if you need
Go
a little
to a locally owned coffee shop.
Right.
I'm just kidding. It's fine. You can go to fucking Starbucks. It's fine.
Like when you have ADHD or you're neurodivergent, like sometimes the like neurons in your I just need to fucking buy something right now. And like it doesn't have to be a crystal.
To me? Do I go to Target and buy 3 elf blushes today?
Did I buy blush at CVS while I was waiting for the prescription? Absolutely.
I did do it. They were 15% off.
Yeah. It was cute. It was in a heart-shaped compact.
It's sparkly.
And like, look, plastic has a problem. Like everything is...
It's balance.
Everything is destroying the earth, LMAO. But can we have some balance?
We need balance, okay? We're not asking for, polarity in this, in consumption. It's you can't like shame people into submission with that.
Exactly.
It's not going to work.
No. And the truth is, like, as individuals, we can't fix all of the climate problems that are happening on Earth. Like that burden lies on corporations and on empirical nations.
Yeah.
And I don't know if and when they're going to do anything about it. But as an individual, like there are certain things that I can say, like, okay, I'm not going to do that so much.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
and that was like buying crystals for me.
Same, me too.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Enough for being like, I want to go to the Tucson Gem Show.
Me too.
Fuck yeah, I do. But like
so much fun.
I just can't do the thing where I'm sitting in a giant amethyst that's been ripped from like its mother womb.
Yeah.
That's dramatic. I know. There are worse things in the world. I know. And I'm not saying you shouldn't go to the Tucson Gem Show.
Like, what was the real price for those giant amethyst butterfly wings to be at the show? Like, whose lives?
I don't know.
What was the true cost? And there's no way of knowing. And a big part of like the crystal industry is like shrouding.
Yeah.
People don't want you to know who their vendors are because they don't want you to steal their vendors.
Yeah.
But I want to know who your vendors are so that I can make an educated decision to purchase.
It's a completely like unregulated market in terms of like a set of ethics. The closest thing being like the blood diamond situation, the precious gemstone situations, and that's not great.
Or so like sweatshops,
or the fast fashion, like you're saying, like we don't ever talk about this with crystals. All I see is like, I got a crystal, and that's beautiful. And I'm trying not to be annoying. I know everybody listening. I know. Yeah. And don't feel bad that you have a crystal.
I don't think you should get rid of your crystals.
Do not get rid of them. They love you.
Love them. Like,
love them
appreciate
more.
them. Yes.
But we have to just say, is this tool, is having all these tools conducive to me keeping balance in my magic? And like, do I actually need these things? Am I using this as a supplement? It's almost like an addiction, like, am I addicted to having the things because everyone else has the things? And that's what Instagram and the internet tells me I should have to be a real witch? Or am I it's just like, am I being kind of shallow about it? And how does the deepness of my practice depend on this quantity of tools?
And I'm like a big believer in reciprocal relationship with spirits. And as an animist, I believe that all things have spirit. And if you have so many. Like, there's just no way you can have reciprocal relationship with all of them. It's not possible.
Yeah.
Like, as one human, it's not possible. And so I do think, like, when you start to consider your crystals as people,
That's a really good.
as rock
That's a
people,
really good point.
you
Sorry
start
for
to
you,
value.
rock person.
Yeah, you start to value them a little more, and you also start to see, like, I don't
Shall we?
need all this stuff, and that's okay. And I do think, like, the desire to commune with crystals and heal with crystals is very natural and
Yes.
human and cool.
I agree.
Like you mentioned, the ancient Greeks used lots of crystals, but the biggest one was amethyst to prevent intoxication, because we love a Greek orgy and an eating party. Drinking, eating.
Dionysus.
Yeah, Dionysus forever.
Yeah.
Indigenous people, specifically the Hopi, quartz crystals.
Fucking don't get me started on turquoise in the Southwest. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Like, the OG exploitation of crystals in the Americas is turquoise in the Southwest.
Every white person in New Mexico wears turquoise. I used to live there.
Whenever I see a white woman with a squash blossom necklace, I immediately am like, oh.
No, it's very cringe.
It's so cringe. And they always have so many and so many rings. And I'm like,
Meanwhile, the native people are sitting on the ground selling their beautiful things
it just feels
in
very
the town
colonial.
square, while these rich Santa Fe is a fucking trip.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
It's very colonial.
It's very fucked up. But yeah.
More historic examples for the fun part of the Three of Cups.
Yes, the fun.
In Europe, the belief in healing powers of crystals persisted well into the Middle Ages. And the powers that crystals held were collected in texts known as lapidaries, which remained popular in medieval and early modern Europe until about the 17th century. Of course, we have rose quartz, popular in Egypt as well. The Romans also used rose quartz as a seal to signify ownership. In the Middle Ages, it was used widely in healing potions in Europe. And now, of course, is our love stone.
It's our love stone.
Jade in Mesoamerica was a big deal. You can find jade all over Mesoamerica, from Olmec statues in Mexico to the Mayan lowlands, central Honduras, northern Costa Rica. Jade was very precious to Mesoamericans, and jade is also very precious to, like, ancient Chinese culture as well,
and modern Chinese
culture. I think it's really fucking cool that these two places, separated by multiple oceans, share the
stone,
this sacredness of the stone,
and maybe they have different interpretations of it, which is what I was saying.
How it's so cool. Fucking cool. I think that's so magical.
Beautiful, and that's I'd be interested to see a map of the world and, like, just, like, what crystals were found where, and, like, see if there's any, I don't know, just like a map of the crystals of the world. It's a trip because the crystals that are being grown now, like, deep in the earth, like, will not erode to the surface, and for, like, 300 million years or some shit.
Crazy.
Don't quote me on that, but we're not going to see it. So that's something to consider too. Like, this isn't like livestock. Like, this is you can lab grow things, but as far as the ones in the earth, that's it for us.
Yeah.
So,
well, and also when you think about ancient cultures, like, they didn't have these giant, like, mining machines.
Right.
They didn't have these huge mines. Like, people found things the way they were supposed to be found organically. Yeah. They found enough for themselves,
or maybe
the
steam,
for
like
a few other people.
Yeah.
You know, like, things weren't being extracted in such.
Also, weren't that many people, many people as today, right?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's.
I don't know
true.
anything about population growth.
I'm pretty sure that's correct. I don't know.
We can Google it later.
But they didn't all have as many crystals as we all have today.
Yeah,
okay,
and we just weren't taking things out of the earth as fast as we take things out of the earth.
We take so many other things out of the earth, like just taking the secretive, like, beautiful parts of it doesn't, like, with this so much veracity, like, doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah.
And I need more info about that.
It kind of brings me back to, like, oil.
Yeah.
And how the United States disables entire, it's gonna make me cry, like it disables entire governments and groups of people so that they are better able to extract resources like oil from these places, and they like leave communities fucking devastated and in states of turmoil and violence, and then they're like, oh, those brown people.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you did this. And I feel like the crystal industry is turning into that thing too, and it makes me sad because laying crystals on the body, engaging with crystals in magic and in healing is such an ancient, intuitive thing to do for human beings.
Yeah.
And it just like bums me out.
Kind of spoils it.
Man, it bums me out.
It does.
And I don't know what the answer is, honestly.
I don't either.
I don't know that there is one right now that any single person can come up with, but
Just take care of your crystals and appreciate what
appreciate
you have.
what you
and
have.
Just consider maybe not consuming as much.
And okay,
And spreading the word about it.
if you
'cause
want to, something that I've been doing quite a bit with I do these like quarterly spiritual forecasts for my membership folks. And I used to talk about a crystal for each month. And I would always tell people, like, it's not about having the crystal, it's about the messages that this crystal is sharing with us.
Yeah.
And lately I've switched to color magic instead. I'm like completely skipping over even mentioning crystal because I honestly don't want people to be like, well, Kaitlyn told me to go buy this. Because I didn't say that.
Yeah. Or even like, just,
I didn't say that.
People they don't need that. Like people will, you know.
Yeah. And so now I talk about color magic. And I think that a lot of what we receive from crystals and their meanings comes from their colors.
Yes.
And I think color magic is a really cool way to connect with crystals without actually having to have them. Like even the way you and I are dressed right now.
Yeah, we're evoking like the energy of the colors in the
Yeah.
way that we wanted to show them off.
And you can engage with color magic through your clothes, through the way you decorate your house.
You can
the way
draw
you
a crystal. I
Paint
did
your
that.
face. You can draw paintings, decoration,
I have a pen
ornamentation.
that's a crystal and like different colored, but it's not a real crystal.
It's cute.
like, you know.
Lady Moon Code.
I mean, everything is problematic and it's all about balance, really.
Everything's problematic. We can only do our best.
Yeah. So don't feel too bad. These are good questions. This is why we talk about these things, though,
Yeah.
because I'm just, I'm sure you all listening, you just see people of all different types post about crystals and connect with them, and that's cool, but there's never any mention of like, well, they don't grow on trees.
Yeah.
Like, and also like,
It's not like apples that keep
Yeah.
coming back season after season.
because I've just been seeing like at Tucson, it's like the bigger ones every year is this bigger chunks, and I'm just like, they cost like $1 bajillion, you know what I mean? And then
When's
like
enough
rich people
enough?
just put them in their houses and like don't actually fucking,
When's
I'm
enough
judging, but don't actually care about them or whatever.
It's true though.
But-
Okay, I follow this one person on YouTube. I think her YouTube channel is Boss Lady South Africa. And she was talking about like the African origins of engaging with crystals in spiritual and healing practices. But she was touching upon how nowadays, like, you go to a 5-star hotel.
Yeah.
There's a giant fucking crystal there.
Yeah.
Like you watch Real Housewives of any given city. Somebody has got a giant fucking crystal in their house.
Coffee table.
Exactly. Like huge crystals. Like they're making
Interior
sinks
designers
out of
are
crystals
Very
and
into
shit like
that.
that.
Does that sound amazing?
Yeah. And it's like, does somebody who can afford that kind of house and lifestyle really okay, I used to work for some really heinous fucking people, and they fucking loved crystals. Crystals all over their house. And that's how they tricked me. Because when I first went in, I was like, oh,
They are glamours.
they might be spiritual, they might be cool, they might get me. And I'm like, no, these people don't give a fuck. They see that this is something that's like become popular and like a status symbol. And so they have a bunch of crystals all over their house, beautiful big ones. And they like don't
appreciate
care or appreciate. It's just a part of the decor.
It's
They
just
probably didn't even
aesthetic.
pick them out. Like, And that, I don't know, man.
Yeah. It's a wild time.
It's a wild world. Ooh, baby, it's a wild
But
world.
there's enough consumption going on. I am not going to partake.
If there's one thing I can step back from, I will do it. And this is one thing I can step back from.
Definitely. Tools. I'm pretty minimalist when it comes to tools. So I'm like, good off that. I'm good off that.
I use lots of handmade stuff.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I'm trying to think of what I've bought. Maybe tea lights. That thing that Native House Ceramics made.
That's cool, though.
That's supporting. Shout out to Native House Ceramics. I am a patron of their Patreon. That's the only Patreon I'm a patron of. Native House Ceramics Co. on Instagram.
I'm so excited for my new incense burner.
Everything is gorgeous.
Okay. Yeah. Even incense is one of those things that I've started to have a different relationship with. Like, I use it for... I used to burn it all the time. And now I'm really conscious of how frequently I use it. I'm really conscious of the type of incense I use. Because even that's like a precious commodity that's become harvested. And
it's like white sage too.
Exactly.
There's plants that are like Palo Santo.
Palo Santo, yes. Even dragon's blood is starting to become over-harvested now.
See, it's like... Just because something is trendy does not make it good for you.
Yeah.
And good for you and like good for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have to have everything that's trendy with witch tools and stuff. Yeah. It's not about that.
Or like grow one herb and dry some and burn that.
That's what I do.
Like
lavender, rosemary, and rose.
Yeah. Rose. I like basil a lot. I grow like common sage.
Yeah, common sage.
So yeah.
Things you can eat. I don't know. I'm like, grow your own vegetable. Like this, things that are like sustainable to you. I like tools that are like, I love bells because they're forever.
If you take care of it, you can use it forever.
And you can find them at thrift stores very easily. Some really beautiful ones.
I love a bell.
And that's good sustainability. And like, they haven't caught on in a way that's super trendy. So the bells that I buy are like $2. They're not $200 yet. Although vintage brass is getting up there. Yeah. But it depends. But it's still very reasonably priced, I think, for most people.
I think so. My bell was a hand me up from my grandfather. It's a vintage brass one from Peru, and it's a llama. The handle is a llama from Peru.
It's so cool.
It's so cool.
So yeah, things like that. Heirlooms, if you have family that have left you things like
if your grandparents die, look through their house. Even if you think they don't have anything good,
go to estate sales of other people's dead grandparents.
Estate sales, absolutely. Yard sales. That's what I'm talking about. Like, that's where the goods, just cleanse it when you get home.
Yep.
That's what the bell's for.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in another episode. We're going to talk about that.
That's right.
I'm excited.
Yes, I'm excited.
But yeah, really, this is just something to think about.
TLDR, love crystals.
I do love
Not
them.
buying any new ones.
Yeah.
But love the ones I have.
Both of those things can be true.
Love the ancient origins of it. Love that humans have always done this.
They're real pretty.
They're real pretty.
Yeah.
But like, just be the crystal.
You can embody the crystal.
Be the crystal.
Yeah.
Are we ready for questions?
Yeah, let's do some questions.
How do you know if someone is sending you negative energy or wishing ill on you?
To me, there's like little intuitive like sparks that go off for me, where if I talk to them or if I will get a vibe, and it's almost like heat. Ooh, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like my body like heats up a little bit and I just feel kind of queasy, and it might be really subtle, but for me, I'm like, there's something up with that person. I can like tell when people are talking shit about me, and sometimes you have to learn to like trust that instinct.
Trusting
But
your
I have
intuition,
100% always been right.
Absolutely.
So for me, it's like developing that intuition, or like paying attention to what happens when that's happened before, and then like lean into those like physical things that happen.
Yes, your body is one of the best communicators of your intuition, of your psychic knowing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is my answer for a lot of things, but like use divination. If you're struggling with trusting your body and trusting like the messages that come through you, like grab your tarot cards and find out. Why not? I don't see why not. Kind of similar question. How do you know if someone is an energy vampire?
Oh, you'll just not want to be the fucking
You'll
around
fucking
them.
know.
You'll know.
You'll know.
I had that happen recently
Yeah.
where someone kind of flipped on me, and I was just like, man, you feel drained.
You feel tired.
You feel tired. It's like,
Yes.
it's how I feel when I'm done being around a child. And I love that. I like a child that I like. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like before you had kids.
I don't know. I was a camp counselor. Like I've always been like a kid person.
I like kids, but I mean, but there's a certain like tiredness that I get, no matter whether I've enjoyed my time or not with them, that I feel.
Yeah.
And that's
My
a little more
brain-
fulfilled.
Around like
But it's similar.
around bath time and bedtime, when my kids are still asking me questions, I always have to tell them like my brain doesn't process questions anymore tonight, baby.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean,
I literally cannot.
but it's a different, but the way that kids drain me in that way is similar to when people are like just,
Yeah.
but it's worse.
Okay. So
It's hard to explain.
the person that I was talking about earlier in this episode that I met, who owns a crystal shop, that person was absolutely an energy vampire because I had been sitting in the same spot all night talking to my friend, and we were like hours passed, and we were just talking and laughing with her and her husband, and this other woman was sitting there, and then finally like we start engaging with her more because she starts talking to us, and like the more she talked, the more I was like literally just exhausted. And my girlfriend was like, it's about time for us to go. And we got up, and as soon as we left the space and moved into a different area, we were awake again. We stayed another hour and a half.
Yeah.
I married a couple.
Yeah. Things happened.
Exciting things happened, all because we walked away from that space. But like,
There can be a group of energy vampires. I've had that a lot.
because vampires do what? They nest.
So all these annoying bitches will be together. And like,
It's like
whatever.
Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. And sometimes I'll be cool with someone individually, and then when they're with someone else, their combination of energy like fucks with me.
I feel that.
That happened. I had a friend, because I connect people a lot. I had a friend connected with another friend, and they loved each other. But when they met, because one of them was like really intimidating, and I'm not like intimidated by people, but she was like a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Are you a Virgo?" And
I think I know
then
who you're talking about.
no, you do like transfixing. She was like beautiful and like transfixing and intense, and I was just like mesmerized by this person. But I had panic attacks around her. It was weird. Never felt like that with anyone else. But she was also a witch. So yeah, it was very interesting. But sometimes that happens too.
Yeah.
Because I have anxiety.
Yeah.
So sometimes that'll just get set off, like things that that already happened to you. If you have like, the
patterns repeating themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
We've both got autism, haven't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's another one. Deity work. Walking through how you can know who is calling to you, etc.
Imagery will pop up. For me, like imagery or symbols associated with that type of energy will pop up a lot.
Yeah.
in random places or in, you know, just throughout your day or whatever. That's a big one for me.
I think symbols are the best way to know if a spirit is trying to reach out to you.
And sometimes the ones that, if you're like drawn to something and it's not for you at this time or like in general, like they'll let you know.
Yeah.
With other symbols, like the bird thing that's
going
on with me right now. Like we were just talking about, like, it's just like, oh, that's
actually not for me.
And it's really funny because the bird that's been very fucking prevalent is associated with like a deity that I like work with a lot and like the energy and I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. And then the other bird is like something I don't really work with.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
And then sometimes you're like, duh.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's real obvious.
Well, and like sometimes, nice. Different spirits do share similar symbols, right? There are only so many symbols and animals in the world. And so you just have to start paying attention to the clues. Yeah. And honestly, like going to see... in my opinion, an espiritista is an amazing person to go see because espiritistas, our job is to educate ourselves on the spirits of the world. Like that is our job.
That's cool.
And it doesn't mean we are in service to all of these spirits, but we need to be able to recognize them and to tell people this is who's calling to you. And our job isn't always to say like, this is who's calling to you. This is how you start working with them. Yeah. Sometimes it's, this is who I see. This is the type of practitioner you need to go to. This is the type of priest you need to go to. This is the type of initiate you need to go to. Yeah. And we like steer you in the right direction so that you can develop relationship with these spirits in a way that is respectful of tradition. And not all spirits are like that. Some of them don't require that. Yeah. But like, that's what really I love the most about my work is I spend so much time just like learning. I spend so much time reading folklore. I spend so much time researching folk spirits from all over the planet. I listen to so many folk stories so that it doesn't matter who's sitting at my table. I can be of service to them and point them in the right direction. So cool. So
I love that.
It's fun. It's a fun job.
You know, and sometimes like those energies will come in and out. It's not like you have to, like an energy of a spirit or deity like won't stay with you your whole life. Sometimes they do. I have one that's been with me since day one, and it's taken me a while to even like understand what that even fucking means, you know, like and some come and some go, and like remember when I was like, I'm feeling like Jesus energy?
Yes.
Do you remember that? I was like, I feel like I needed Jesus, okay? Like, some people in the comments would agree, but for real though,
especially
on YouTube. But I, for real, like, you know, that's a beautiful healing energy and like just the most loving kind of like, it was just really nice and I needed it and it was beautiful and, you know, it's great.
Yeah,
I'm not a Christian.
I agree.
But it was like, I don't know. I mean, maybe it was something different, but that's what I was
Christ wasn't a Christian either.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Pretty sure that was it.
Yeah. Some spirits are just with you for a little while.
Bit.
And some spirits are with you for reasons other than what you'd automatically assume. Like I have one spirit who came to me and I consistently was working with clients who this spirit was calling to. It's like all of her kids came to me. Yeah. And she needed me to know her so that I could tell her kids that they were for her. And then I found out that she's not really my spirit, but she's my kid's spirit. And so I have an altar dedicated to her that I service so that she can protect my kids.
That's really cool. On a much like lighter scale, like when I am designing things, sometimes things will come, because I've been designing these like traveling spell space blanket round things, and I've been doing them like deity energy specific.
Yeah, they're real cute.
And it's been really interesting because, like you said, like sometimes the energies are like, they'll make themselves known, or like like everyone wants a Hecate one.
Yeah.
And that's not really a deity that I work with regularly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, not right now. Like, she's like, not right now. Wait for the fall, you know, or like, I'm just putting it off. I'm just waiting.
And
for
I
the,
love
for
that you
seasonal.
listen. Yes. She's
I'm
like,
not
it's
gonna
not my
just-
time right now.
Look, it's not Halloween every day. Like,
No,
it's not.
it's not. And that's what's so cool about Earth and seasons.
Yeah. So
I love it.
I did Persephone and Aphrodite.
Yeah.
And Persephone's like, it's so fun because like I learned a lot about Persephone and just like I have a new appreciation for this because I channeled her through my fucking art, like the symbols that I drew and like, and then I was just gonna do Persephone. And then Aphrodite was like, or Venus or whatever was just like, no, I want one too.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that.
okay, yes. And that's
like
someone
that.
I'm like, I work with a lot. And I'm like, okay. So then I had to do that.
Yes.
So it was like really funny.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? I was like,
love
okay.
that.
And when I mean like they were telling me that, I mean like I was getting like auditory inclinations, but also symbolic. I was just guttural.
Yeah.
Like it's not like
It's your instinct.
It's not like I had a dream and she came to me on a shell from the ocean. Like it's just she's around my home and it's just like
Yeah.
sometimes you just kind of know, like
You know.
like it's really interesting as
feel
someone
like
who's
that
not a
comes with
medium.
practice.
Like
Laura always says
I
she's
know,
not a
but
medium.
I'm not a practicing. I'm not a practicing medium. So it's not someone. I'm not
Laura
someone who
says she's not a
identifies.
medium, but she's always channeling.
I know I am, but it's like not
I
in
love her.
I know I'm humble. See, that's not good.
Humble. Just
But
own it. Just because you aren't a professional
Not
medium who
a
offers services.
professional. I don't offer services.
But you are still gifted
I
because
know.
you channel so much through
I
your
do.
work.
I
And that's
know.
why it's so successful.
It's so fun to like talk to you and like relate and like because I do like I'm all tense right now, like I get all excitable and like it's just been really fun doing these projects. And it's been really interesting when I'm like I'm opening this up to deities and just seeing who's popping up and who's like no, not right now, because it's not really for me, it's for my customers and like you know it's I asked them who they wanted, you know, and it's like
I also love
it's interesting
the respect that you have for the spirit's boundaries.
Yeah. I'm not new.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
It's
I would
important.
never be like, you know what? Fuck off, Hecate. Like,
I'm gonna make this shit anyway.
not to that one.
Yeah. Fuck no.
Bless her. Like, no. That's not, no way. And the art doesn't come to me.
Yeah, exactly.
doesn't.
Yeah. You can force it, but why?
It's not, it's fun for me. It's not the
No.
right time. But yeah, people keep asking for that one specifically. And I'm like,
Not
do I
today.
spell it with a K or a C? I can't deal with this right now. I'm neurodivergent.
Okay. They said a K.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Like literally, I was thinking about that. Thank you ahead of time because yeah.
When the time comes, you'll have it
Okay,
now.
okay, thank you.
Okay. How about one more?
Sure. That was a long
This
answer.
one's my favorite. I almost forgot about this. But it's kind of perfect because you're talking about Christ.
Oh, great.
I noticed you don't like Christians, but then you make lots of Bible references. I'm
That's a
confused.
Kaitlyn question. Kaitlyn question.
I'm confused.
Legit question.
That's okay.
Respect it.
It's okay to be confused.
I
We
probably
all-
had that question at some point in
We're
my
all
journey.
confused sometimes. So I grew up Catholic, and I know a lot of shit.
And I just don't like Christians. I'm just kidding.
Okay,
I'm
you know
kidding.
what I found out? My favorite way to mock Christians is the lady from what was it when they would trade spouses?
Trading
Wife swap.
spouses?
Wife
Oh,
swap.
Trading spouses.
And she
trading
goes to the
spaces.
hippie house and she's like, they're not Christians.
Aw.
She's an ally now. She's fully converted to the rainbow parade.
Oh.
And we love this for her.
Is she still a good Christian? Like a nice Christian?
I don't think she's really a Christian anymore. She's all about supporting the queers. So thank
Cool.
you for coming to the
I
dark
like Christians
side.
that support queers.
Yeah.
And
So
are nice people.
I talk about the Bible a lot, and I talk about Catholic things a lot because it's a part of who I am, and I can't divorce that. Also because the spiritual practice that I'm a part of, Espiritismo, is literally crossed spiritism. It is a crossing of indigenous Caribbean spirituality, indigenous African spirituality, Kardecian spiritism, and Catholicism. All of those things are necessary to make this practice what it is. So Catholicism is very much wrapped up in that. Also, the Bible, for many Catholics and Christians in the Americas, like for colonized people, for enslaved people, this was the only thing we were allowed to use. Yeah. Indigenous spiritualities, pre-colonial spiritualities were not allowed by punishment of death. So engaging with the Bible has been a way for lots of marginalized folks to continue to have some sort of connection to divinity and protect themselves in the process. And for a lot of Black and brown folks, the Bible is a spell book. The Book of Psalms is a grimoire.
Sure. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh man,
I don't.
The Book of Psalms is a grimoire.
Let's read the Psalms, baby.
We've been talking about it.
We will. I want to read it though, because I have no context.
It's incredible, and I think that there's a lot of emphasis on decolonization right now, which is beautiful and great, but also like, I think there's something important in honoring the ancestors who did use these tools and not disregarding the energy and intention they put into talking to these spirits, using these words, saying these prayers.
And also like the fact that they were able to mix and make something new and beautiful and fucking powerful and strong using like whatever ancestral divination that they had or knowledge that they had mixed with like, you know, the Bible and Christianity and Catholicism. Like that's beautiful to me. That's very interesting. And I understand like how that would be confusing to somebody because we talk a lot of shit about Christians, but we don't hate all Christians.
No. Well, and like folk Catholicism is not the same as the Catholic Church, right? The Catholic Church as an institution, fucked up, right? Terrible, awful, hate it there. But folk Catholicism is about people communing with spirit and using these tools of language and prayer and rosaries and icons as ways to connect with divinity, ways to connect with folk spirits. There's reasons why sects of Christianity post the Great Schism were like, no saints allowed, no Mary allowed, no rosaries allowed. And it's because those things keep us connected to like greater spirits. Yeah. Wow.
That's very interesting.
So I can totally understand how it would be confusing, but I don't know, like history is messy. Life is messy.
It's messy and it's not
binary.
I was just gonna say that. It's not binary in the way that those things are made up. You know?
I don't give money to the Catholic Church.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah. It's complicated.
My mentor told me I have to go to Mass, and I'm like, I'm not ready.
Like, what is that? Is that not supporting the church by going to Mass?
Well,
like why would you go to Mass?
Because it's a sacred place.
Right, just to be in
ritual and to be in like a sacred place. And just talking about the incense and like Christ was fucking cool. Yeah. Mary is my mom. Yeah. She's all of our mom.
Yeah. But it's like the church as an institution is different from like Catholic churches.
Is different
that
from
you would attend.
Sometimes. I don't know. I feel like but again, it's different from people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like
it is different from people.
If we think about the teachings of Christ, the church was always supposed to be just people gathered.
Yeah.
And not this big empire and industry.
That's a complicated, Catholicism is complicated like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool and terrible.
But you know what? That's life. Like,
But such is life, and we can't like erase it.
That is so interesting.
Well, and for like a lot of people also, like when we are so far displaced from our ancestral practices, it's not always like appropriate to just jump in and start making shit up how we think our ancestors may have done it before Christianity came.
Yeah.
And by using the tools of Christianity, the prayers of Christianity, we're still able to connect with divinity, connect with spirits, connect with nature without like being disrespectful or misappropriative.
Yeah, not even just that's not even in like my ancestors did that too in Scotland and in Europe. Like it was, if you look
Ireland,
in like, yes, if you look in all that, it's like Christ this and Bible that and devil that. But it's mixed with, I guess it would be
pagan
like
shit.
Like I don't know what you'd call it. Yeah, it's pagan mixed with like it's still there, and it's been interesting to like someone who doesn't know about Bible. I wasn't raised in any kind of church, like sifting through that like without context.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's interesting. Like I'm able to find the pagan-y bits that work for me.
That's the part that's really fun about Catholicism too, as opposed to other sects of Christianity, which I think are a little bit less pagan in nature. Catholicism was like, oh yeah, we do that too.
Oh no, for sure.
Oh yeah, we do that too. It was part of how they converted people.
Yeah,
we do that too.
We can drink blood.
We do that too. Ostera, we just call it Easter, but we do that too. Yeah.
Like incense,
Yule,
like incense.
we do that too.
Yeah,
exactly. Candles everywhere, an altar, we do that too.
I think Catholic churches are beautiful.
Catholic churches are beautiful.
And I've not felt, my dad is a Catholic convert, and his whole my stepmom is Catholic, and like they had a whole ass Catholic wedding. It was very long.
They did the full mass. I feel like it's so rude to do full mass for your wedding.
It was long as fuck. It was long as, but it's cool.
Sit, stand, kneel.
But he's cute.
I'm personally grateful that of all of the versions of Christianity, I ended up with Catholicism.
I'd probably be down.
Yeah.
Because I like the spectacle of it all.
It's a spectacle.
And the places are beautiful.
It's extremely occult. it's extremely occult. Yeah.
They do witchier shit than me.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Like, it's so
literal,
cool.
like, transubstantiation, human sacrifice.
There's things to be learned from that by witnessing, like, the powerful, like...
Also, like, the importance of ritual.
Yes, the importance of ritual and, like, where that all came from. And it's kind of all in the family, you know what I mean? In some cases, like... My fucking Portuguese ancestors were Catholic as fuck.
Very Catholic,
so like still are. So yeah, it's all, I think it's really beautiful that you have such a like strong connection to like Espiritismo and like that sect, you know, because not everyone like
I'm
does.
grateful.
It's so cool that you had both experiences, you know.
It's cool.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
we don't hate Christians.
We don't. We just don't like
I kind of am
Christians.
One.
What'd you say?
I said I kind of am one.
I am not, but I like nice people that are nice Christians.
Yeah.
That are
not bigots.
Not bigots. Not racists
or homophobes.
Yeah. But unfortunately, that kind of stuff, that kind of thinking gets perpetuated through the church.
Yeah.
So that's why we talk so much
just
shit.
like American culture.
Yeah,
like American Christianity is just white supremacy.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to Third Eye Bind.
Be sure to leave us a message on the Third Eye line. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. You can follow the podcast at Third Eye Bind Pod on Instagram. There, submit your questions via the Third Eye line by sending us a voice message or text DM. The show is available wherever you listen to podcasts and for you to watch on YouTube. Get early access to episodes and even monthly one-on-one sessions with us by joining our Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/thirdeyebind. Third Eye Bind is produced and edited by Mike Realm. Hosted by Kaitlyn Grania and Laura Wong. Music by Mike Realm. Set design by Laura Wong. You can find Laura on Instagram at LadyMoonCo, and you can find Kaitlyn at kaitlyn.grania.